Megaman X ranks as one of my favorite video game series of all time, but in the toy department, it always left me wanting more, since the only figures they had available for a long time were really cheaply made and poorly proportioned Bandai models, and they didn't even include my favorite version of X, his original armored look. Thank you, D-Arts, I finally got the Megaman X figure I was always after. Though I guess technically this is Rockman X, not Megaman X, in his full armored look from the first game. As usual, we're going to look at the detailing first, and while this might seem like very simple armor compared to what he'd be getting in later games, I tend to prefer this because it feels more like Mega Man still, instead of just Mega Man with a bunch of wings and spikes cobbled onto his armor. Taking a closer look at him, we can see the green eyes painted, black outline to give a little bit more distinction, and a few little marks just above his cheek, just to give the right impression. Very well sculpted, looks very nice. You can see crystal cast in translucent red plastic, and a gold trim going all the way around to the back. The little ear things, I never quite sure what they were. Yeah, there's a translucent red crystal in there too. Gold on the back of the head as well. You see a lot of little details even got through on the back too. So everything around him, all the way around, is accurate to his original design. Actually very slim on the paint deco, since this is a far more simple design than he normally has in armored forms. But what they did have, they made look as good as possible. The gold trimming on everything is absolutely gorgeous as usual, and we also have a little bit of silver here on the feet. Even on the underside, more translucent red gems, giving him a little bit more distinction. Now, sculpting-wise, yeah, you can see this guy is pretty tried and true to X's original armor artwork. You know, he's pretty much spot on. Way better than the previous Bandai models were. There is one thing that you probably already noticed, and I have to point out for the sake of reviewing. Yeah, he does have something of a gap between shoulder and torso joint. This is unfortunate. It's one of the ways you can work around his armor design and still give his shoulders a full range of motion, especially on a toy like this, where being able to move the shoulders forward actually does matter in a lot of poses. However, yeah, it is honestly just a little bit distracting. So that's the downside of the mold. Everything else seems to check out pretty nicely though. You got full rotation here at the bottom of the neck, and at the top, just like a figure art, you've got a full range in there. The shoulders, yes, while awkward, they do allow a wide range of motion forward and back all the way, as well as up and down on the ball joint situated in the torso. There's also a hinged shoulder joint too, so you can raise up the arm without affecting the shoulder guard. There's also a bicep swivel just under that, as well as an elbow that does go beyond 90 degrees, and what I really like about it is that extra black piece in there, which not only breaks up the colors a little bit more, it also gives it a more natural look when bent. His shoulder, or his elbow, doesn't look like it's floating at all. It actually has something kind of physical structure to it. Fists are on ball joints, so, you know, you can tilt it, you can rotate it, all that. We love ball joints for that kind of thing. Torso joint works very well as one at the waist, so rotation at both points also possible. The hips, these are a little bit restricted. About 90 degrees is about all you can get out of there. Not that he's like a high-kicking character or anything. You can get pretty much any pose he was known for. And again, to hide the gaps between joints, you do have these little black cuffs that hide where his hips actually have jointage to them. You can see it in the back very easily. But in the front, where you'll be seeing him for most poses, it actually looks very clean. It's actually kind of a clever job. They do rotate as well for extra articulation. His knee is incredible. Look at that. All the way back. And again, you have a false knee in there, which does keep it looking like a solid piece. Also, ankles, they do rotate, they do go back and forward, and they do pivot and swivel, which is all very appreciated. So, Yeah, the only articulation hang-up he has are the limitations of his hips, but even then, you're going to be able to get him into any pose that you would know Megaman X for, and that's really all that counts here. For a 5-inch figure, he does incredibly well on articulation. I really don't even mind the gap between his shoulders and his chest armor just because of how much extra range of motion it allows him. Now we're talking accessories, and this guy is no slouch in the least in the visual variety department. For starters, you're going to get 2 additional faces. One of them, with his mouth wide open in mid-scream, looking off to his right, and the other one, teeth clenched looking off to his left. So you can angle him into different poses, though none that look straight on other than his default, rather calm-looking face. Still, it does allow a lot of variety, which, you know, there's no way to complain about that. You also get 2 additional hands of the traditional splayed open variety, but the main one we're concerned with is this, his actual Buster Cannon. You can see, again, translucent red gem right there, giving it some kind of illusion of powered gem, relay of some kind, I don't know. It's high-tech and it looks cool. A lot of different paint details on this, giving it a very accurate look to how it is in his artwork. Swapping it on and off is as simple as popping this off. It's a rather unique little friction joint and peg that holds this on here. You know, so you're not going to break it or anything by tugging it on and off, so don't worry. Plugging that on as a replacement, and there we have the Buster look for Megaman X. I mean, it's pretty simple, really. I mean, yeah, it's his Buster. Point and aim pose as you want. I will say, though, there isn't quite enough range in that elbow to give me a straight-on shot. No matter what I do, it always looks like his arm isn't quite straight, which is a bit of a distraction. You know, there's always a little bit of a bend to it that I can't quite get rid of. That's an unfortunate distraction, but it's a minor one. You can work around it, thankfully. With the Buster on, we can move on to his effect parts. To prepare him for this, you must remove the front of the blaster and replace it with this one, which has no crystal in it. This will allow him to attach his blaster effects. The first one, of course, being Megaman's traditional 3-shot yellow Buster shots. Cast in very nice translucent yellow. It's also quite modular. You can disconnect the front part of it as well as this piece on top and switch it around a little bit. If you want him firing 2 shots, you can do it. This is differently molded from the original DArts X, which could rearrange the pattern of the 3 Buster shots. So I actually kind of like the visual variety of this one a little bit better, just in case I don't want him going completely overkill on the shots. I can change this. Pegs in very tightly, and luckily his joints quite firm and can easily hang on to those 3 shots. Yeah, you can pose him way better than this for that, and I've probably got one up right now of me doing just that, but it is a very cool effect and really fits X very well. And like the other Rockman DArts toys, he also comes with a charged blaster shot. This one, however, yeah, it's a little bit big because it is a full charged blast. Listen, this is probably the largest lump of plastic I've ever seen touted as an accessory. I'm pretty sure if any other toy line marketed this, it'd be counted as a free second figure. It's absolutely enormous, this huge, spiky mass of translucent blue. I mean, it looks really cool. It looks like some fantasy egg you'd find in World of Warcraft or something, but it is an exceptionally cool piece, I will give it that. It's got a connection point, so you can actually physically connect it to his Buster, but why would you? No, I mean, his joints are very tight. They are not tight enough to hold this. It's as heavy as the main figure. Wisely, the DArts designers knew this and included this with a figure as well. An individual display stand just for the charged shot. I find this absolutely ridiculous, but okay. The annoyance to this one is the hole to actually put it in is a pain to find amongst all that translucent blue plastic. And once you do, and you actually connect this thing to its own display stand, it's a little too tall for him. This little rod, it's a standard, Tamashii display piece, but if it was just a little bit shorter, it would work. Here, yeah, not so much. It's on a tilt, so I can tilt it down, but you can't go too far. I mean, the little down tilt does help dramatically, and here I probably could connect the Buster on and actually make it look effective. But it does start to risk the balance when you do tilt it that way. That said, I mean, it is still a really cool effect piece, I will give it that, though I could think of some even cooler uses for it. Now, as a standalone figure, that's pretty much all the toy does, but we are not quite finished yet. That's because one of the big features of this toy is its interconnectivity to the first Rockman X D-Arts release. This is because you can swap pretty much any body part on both of them to create various combinations of armor. This is done as simply as removing the Buster and swapping on, the other arms. The legs also come apart in a similar way. They all have this kind of weird double peg socket thing to them. Whatever. It actually pulls apart very easily on both of them, though, it is snug enough in there to pose and display the figure however you feel like. And one quick jump cut later, here's X with the dash boots on, after just having beaten Chill Penguin's stage. And as you can see, it retains all the posability it had on its original toy. So this makes the two an incredibly versatile combo. We can also have X as he appears after beating Sting Chameleon's stage. Or if you want to, we can have X looking like you're cheating with a Game Genie because this combination's impossible. But you can still do it. And just in case you're wondering, all of their accessories work with each other as well. You can have them sharing their charge shots, you can combine their standard shots into a 4-shot variety, and you can even change around their faces with each other. So the awkward, always looking left or right thing was intentional. Between the two, you get a lot of visual variety on both figures. So really, the two are meant to work together. If you've got the original, this is an absolute must-have. But even on its own, it's still an exceptional figure, if you can mind the gaps. Like usual, this one came from HobbyLink Japan, and while this one, as of this recording, is in stock, yeah, you're kind of on your own to find a standard X to go with them. Trust me though, the two working together creates a really awesome figure combination, so it's worth hunting down both. And speaking of hunting down, I heard there's a vial coming out for this series too, so these guys are going to have someone to shoot at soon. Oh man, I cannot wait. If only they'd make a Storm Eagle, I could actually have all of my childhood fantasies. Oh well.